Ve bir sonraki oturumumuzda da biraz önce yaklaşık 40 dakika önce hatırlattığım gibi hem 2023 sezon değerlendirmesi hem de 2024 yılı beklentilerin tur operatörleri başlığı altında dinleyeceğiz değerli katılımcılarımızdan. Meeting Point Turkey değerli CEO'su Okay Yıldırım bizlerle birlikte ve World Travel Tourism Council Regional Director Mr. Andrew Brown bizlerle birlikte olacaklar. Ve yaklaşık olarak saat 14.30'a kadar bu değerli ikilimize sahneyi de bırakacağım. Hemen arkasından The Future of Medical Tourism, sağlık turizmin geleceği ve günün son oturumunda da kongre karar süreçlerinin olduğunda bir kere daha hatırlatalım değerli misafirlerimiz. Sanıyorum ki hazırız. Hoş geldiniz Okay Bey. Meeting Point Türkiye CEO'su Okay Yıldırım efendim alkışlarınızla. Hoş geldiniz, şeref verdiniz.
Sağ olun. Çok teşekkür ediyorum. Sağ olun. Her şey
harika,
yolunda.
Harika. Ve evet, Mr. Brown does the World Travel and Tourism Council Regional Director Andrew Brown with your applauses. We're welcome again.
Hey Andrew.
Hello, how are you? Good? Good to see you again.
Hey, nice seeing you.
The stage is yours.
Yes, thank you very
Fantastic.
much.
Would you like to sit down or should we stand up? We've got
No,
45 minutes.
I think let's...
should we pull them across?
Make it more comfortable?
Yeah, come on, let's go. Perfect. Now, would you like to speak in English or in Turkish?
No, I think we will do it combined in Turkish.
We'll combine it, okay.
In Turkish?
Oh, I don't have any Turkish in me, no, sorry. I'm straight out of New Zealand.
No, in that case we will do it in English, all fine.
No, very good. Well, it's a pleasure to be here with you this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
My name, as the MC mentioned, is Andrew Brown. I'm Regional Director for the World Travel and Tourism Council across many different parts of the world. For those of you who don't know who the World Travel and Tourism Council is, or WTDC, well, Ms. Elif, she's a board member of ours on behalf of TGA. We represent the private sector of travel and tourism at a CEO, president, and chair level into governments. And what we do is we highlight the economic impact that travel and tourism has on jobs, on GDP, on investment, and break that down into 185 countries, 26 regions, and the world in its entirety. So that when the private sector is speaking to government, when we're speaking on their behalf, they can say that travel and tourism is worth, by the end of this year, $9.5 trillion US. Now that's back to 2019 levels. And okay, how have you seen the rebound and recovery since COVID? Do you want to explain that sort of story? Sure. And we'll come on to the 2024 expectations in a bit.
I mean, the recovery was not easy because we never faced a situation like COVID where everything is shut down. Yeah. So including all restaurants, airlines, hotels, everything is shut down. So it was very hard for us to overcome this period. But what we have surprisingly see, and if I look from Meeting Point International point of view, because as you know, we are present in 17 destinations. So from Bangkok till Punta Cana, Cuba, we have across all the countries, major countries, our own DMCs. And beside the DMC business, also 66 hotels. So all DMCs, all the hotels suffered a lot, but we have surprisingly see that the pickup was very quick. So we was not expecting that the recovery can be.
That's very loud. We'll just pause.
So starting from 22, the recovery was very, very quick, and Ruby was not expecting that. The entire destination was not expecting this. So that's why we have faced specifically in the source market as you know, from the airport side, uh, from the recovery side. I mean, such an event, such a pandemic, to overcome this in a couple of years, I think it's really very good for the source, very good for all the destination, and we are very happy to be back on track, let me say like this.
Fantastic. And have you seen a change in the source markets or any interest from the consumers of what they're looking for today versus what they perhaps were, both for this year, which sort of challenged you a bit, and what you see coming forward in terms of consumer expectations?
Andrew, if I see, for example, we are present in 7 source markets, so our headquarter and our main source market is in Germany, so we are based in Munich. But beside this, we are present in Austria, Switzerland, France, Belgium, Holland, and the UK source market. Each of the source market has a different understanding of the customer, so each country has his own way of targeting each segmentation. But what we have seen with the pandemic is that the early booking have been reduced quite drastically because the customer was not aware. If I book as of today, August, if I book as of today, next year, September, what will be the regulation in that time? Will I be able to travel with my kids? Can I return with my grandmothers back to my distance? So that's why we have seen that the long-term booking has been reduced, the early booking has been reduced. So the early trading is not lost, let me say like this, but the early trading suffered a lot, while the late trading has tripled their volumes.
Yeah.
So in each of the source market, Andrew, we have several brands of targeting each customer. So our last minute brand is 5 vor Flug, so 5 minutes for flight, translated.
Oh, thank you.
And we have seen that 5 vor Flug has quadrupled their figures, specifically in nearly all the destination, while our classic tour operators, brands like FDE Touristik, Big Extra, has reduced. Again, we can feel the customers' understanding because we are not just based in 7 source markets. We are also owning a retail chain with 3,500 offices, RTK. We are the majority shareholder of this chain. Plus, we have our own TV channels, Sonnenklar TV, who target 2.1 million customers each day, average 17 minutes. So, and they are calling us back and they are giving us the feedback. So I think we are very, very close to the end consumer, while our biggest sales channel is the B2B. But yes, these are the major things what I would like to highlight.
Because what we saw at WTDC with our research numbers was different parts of the world with their different reopening times and protocols came back differently. And here in Europe, it was certainly a lot faster than other parts of the world. We saw last year that city tourism, as we're at the Istanbul Tourism Fair, city tourism was up over 53% year on year. So coming back from COVID, consumers really wanted to get out in the wilderness. They wanted to see the great outdoors with the impact of they don't want to be crowded. But what we saw, which was really interesting for us, was that they were rushing back to the cities, but still going beyond and going into the wilderness. They were extending their holidays from 9 days up to 13, 14. Have you seen that in the booking periods as well? So interest in the cities, but also in the outdoors?
I mean, what we have seen is that the accommodation types has been changed.
Yep.
So the customers prefers more to be with his own family, so they usually use a higher category of a room type when he is staying. And we have seen also, once he realized the holiday, that he stays even longer than usually before. So while we have experienced that on destination site sales, be it the excursion or be it the round trips, has suffered. So the people prefer more to stay with his own family in a private area, while the amount of the local sales has been reduced, unfortunately.
Right, yeah, because I mean, I think it will come back as well though, because with the impact of city tourism rising, I see again in our numbers that it's going to be a similar level bounce back this year. So last year was 50% year on year. This year is going to be about the same. So the interest in city tourism is very much there. The question in terms of the tour operating aspect, and this is one that I think Europe certainly faced its challenges with this year, and that's around overcrowding. Could you talk us through, are you sort of changing the way and the model of the itineraries that you're doing in terms of tour operating going forward so that your customers can have a genuine, authentic cultural experience during peak times, but also during what they call shoulder season or down season? At WTDC, we call this community conscious travel. So making a great place to travel being an even better place to live. Are you doing any of those aspects there to sort of diversify when folks are traveling and when folks are able to get in and see the really busy sites that they want to see?
I mean, as we are targeting we are our tour operator brands different kind of segments. We have, for example, pre and after season huge concentration, which I have just mentioned on the TV side.
Yes.
So the Sonnenklar TV is targeting usually 45 years and plus customer who likes to travel before and after the season, while our younger customers prefers with their family during the school holidays to travel during this period. So we have seen that and besides the summer destination, Andrew, we are present also in the winter destination. So UAE, Oman, Egypt, for example, specific the Caribbean is a huge target destination for us, where we are operating in the winter periods, and we have witnessed, due to the increase of the expenses, that the shoulder and seasons are suffering more than it used to be,
Sure.
while the high season is less affected. For example, the expectation of all the hotels in Turkey and also the DMC side for March, April and May was very, very high, which was unfortunately not realized because I mean we have a burden in regards to per average revenue, because the per average revenue increased due to flight and hotel expenses quite a lot, which again let us suffer in the beginning and at the end of the season. So I hope that this will be balanced a bit. So what we are seeing as a difference, long haul and shoulder season are affected more than the summer destinations.
Okay.
And the summer peak periods.
Do you see there being a change in the source markets to your products as well? So coming out of the pandemic, and we'll move on to 2024 soon and what we're seeing coming up, but do you see a change in the type of traveller going, so where they're coming from with the reopening? So is there more coming out of Asia, or is there more coming out of North America? Where are the trends that you're seeing when it comes to source markets?
So unfortunately, we are just based in Europe, so we
Okay.
cannot measure Asia and
Yep.
LATAM as a source market, because we are just based in western side of Europe, where I have just mentioned. So, but how the development will be now with emerging markets, let me say, be it China, India, and LATAM countries. So I think this all depends on the transportation side, because the aviation is not recovered yet.
Yep.
And we have seen that the aviation suffered a lot. It's the most suffered area. So I believe it will take some time until the long haul and other source market will be coming back. For example, yesterday I was in an exhibition in Paris. Topresa is one of the key exhibitions in Europe, let me say, and the French people likes to travel on a long haul quite much. So we can see the importance of the destination, but the realization at this stage, because of air transportation is not fully recovered, will take some time.
It's certainly getting back there in terms of the airline connectivity we see as well. A couple of stats for you from our back catalogue. Pre-COVID-19, the Chinese traveller was worth 15% of all money spent in travel and tourism. So 15 out of $100 was from the Chinese traveller. Last year, when we did our research looking forward of what's coming up in 2032, 2033, that showed that India was going to come from not a major source market to the 6th largest source market in the world by 2032. That's going to be very interesting and probably throw up a few spanners in the works of how to navigate and how to enter that market so they can come and enjoy your travels. A question I've got, as it's one that we've seen as an issue that props up, not just in tour operating, but across the travel and tourism sector, is that because of the pandemic, there were over 60 million jobs lost in tourism. That's slowly coming back to the point where in 2019 we were 330 million. Now, this year, we're 290. Are you seeing any issues on your side with your vast business? I think you said about 12,500 people you employ, to fulfill roles around staff shortages. Is that an issue that you're encountering at the moment?
And I think this is the biggest change what we are facing, because the relation between the employee and the management is completely changed, because the first target what we have at the moment, beside the business, is actually the employee. Mm-hmm. Because as you have said, most of the people don't trust anymore this sector. I mean, in each way, be it the stewardess, be it the pilot, who specifically works in leisure and tourism business, be it the waiter in the hotel, be it the transferman in the airport, or be it the airport clerk. So most of the people prefer now to have a more trustable and more sustainable business units. And we are suffering in each area, be it in the source market, be it in the destination. In each area, we are struggling to get the amount of employee with the needed and required qualification, which is a big task for us. So what we are doing is we allow the people to work from home. Mm-hmm. So we allow the people to work from another region in the country. We allow the people to work from another countries. So we are saying, if you want to work 1 month in Italy, so go in the headquarters and work from Italy.
Yep.
So even our new CEO, Carl, decided that he wants to work 1 week in Antalya. So he comes to Antalya, sits one of the desks and works from here. Because I think to be closer to the people, and this is what the pandemic showed us, because he was doing hundreds of online meetings, more than before, and we understand that maybe before we was not so much required to travel before, but yes, I mean the employee is our biggest concentration at the moment, be it his commercial condition, be it his social condition, and be it his living condition. This is the key area of FTI Group, with over 12,000 employees, where we need to focus on, definitely. Not just us, I believe all other providers of the tourism sector will be doing this as well.
No, for sure. It's not just yourselves. Trust me, we've seen the numbers. I think, if I recall correctly, it was around 1 in 6 jobs in Italy were currently vacated in travel and tourism. That was about this time last year. So hopefully it's improved since then to fulfill their back catalogue. But yeah, staff shortage is one that we've certainly seen prop up. And I think that's, to counter that, it's going to need a public and private sector dialogue around opening up and allowing visa facilitation so folks can move in and move out with that freedom. Because congratulations, you're still doing the flexibility, working from home. We still do that at WTDC as well. It just seems easier, especially when you're based in London and you have train strikes every month. You can't get in the office. No, that's very much for sure. Just shifting forward now in terms of 2024 or even beyond, what we're seeing in terms of the global numbers is that a majority of the countries and the regions are going to be within 5% total value that they were experiencing in 2019. So they'll be almost back to what they were in 2019, so before the pandemic. Turkey has already surpassed it. Turkey last year grew by over 50% compared to the year before. Istanbul, for example, now that generates over 10 billion US dollars to the national economy, which is about 42% of national GDP when related to tourism. What do you see coming forward in 2024? We've talked about staff shortages, but in terms of the main challenges that your business will face, you've got a lot of different verticals, but what are the main challenges going forward that you see, or successes that you're identifying to go after?
Andrew, if I look just from Turkey's point of view,
Please.
I think we are one of the luckiest country in 2024 and beyond, because everybody has to understand that Turkey is quite unique in regards to aviation.
Yes.
So I must pronounce aviation because the people has to travel somehow to Turkey. So from all the source markets. So we have with Sun Express, we have with Corendon, we have with Freebird, we have with other Pegasus, we have with Anadolu Jet, we have with Turkish Airlines, a huge amount of aviation capacity which doesn't exist in any other destination.
Nope.
So a couple of weeks ago, Turkish Airlines purchases 400 aircraft. A couple of weeks ago, Pegasus onboarded his 100th aircraft. So, and all this aviation flies every day to Europe, which is our source market, and this on a non-charter or hard commitment basis.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, each tour operator or each OTA or each chain of retailers can book via this this online vertical things, seats without having any risk.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why, and if you go to Egypt, one of another huge destination where we are also a very large amount of incoming. When you go to Greece, Greece has doubled the figures during this period. You will not find in any other destination such kind of aviation structure.
Nope.
And therefore, for example, when I flew yesterday from Charles de Gaulle to Istanbul, there was 8 flights from Charles de Gaulle on this day to Istanbul. You will not find any other gateway where you have from Charles de Gaulle 8 flights a day in the same destination. And by the way, these are not narrow-body aircrafts.
No.
I flew with a wide-body aircraft. So 300 plus capacity. That's why, and I have to admit as well, I mean, I'm very proud of my country because my country has overcome the pandemic period in a very quick and efficient way. I think this is something what all of us teach. I mean, we are born with crisis, but I think we are the masters of overcoming the crisis. Mm-hmm. And therefore, I believe there will be a huge shift of destinations because the revenue per person is increasing, Andrew. The customers have to pay more, while their cost of living in Europe is getting more expensive. So I mean, I buy a coffee not anymore for 120, I buy it for 180. So
wait, your coffee's 120?
Yes.
Oh, wow. In London, it's £3.
It's £3, so here we are.
120. I mean, I'm glad because my coffee addiction would be even worse then.
Yes, exactly.
But just to pick up on a couple of points you mentioned there. First, around aviation. So earlier this week within WTDC, we have a lot of members who are the private sector organisations, but we also have a lot of knowledge partners. And those are folks like Ford Keys that provide their data to us to plug into our research. And they put out the top 20 airports so far this year in terms of outbound passengers. Now, I know you're talking about inbound, but in terms of outbound, Istanbul Airport, do you know where it ranked?
Yes.
Where? Sixth.
Six.
But there was only 2 airports that were positive growth since 2019. Istanbul was up 37%. The other one, I can't recall, 2%. So Istanbul has grown that much since 2019. I think that's just what you're showing. And to go in terms of, I think you're talking about the resilience of tourism, especially here in Turkey, how you get a lot of challenges that you overcome each and every time. What we saw at WTTC was Turkish tourism doing an amazing job around health and hygiene protocols, around sustainability, and taking that world lead, saying, look, tourism makes up 11.6% of our economy here in Turkey. That is a lot of jobs. That, I think it was around 2.7 million. We need to look after them. We need to grow them and nurture them. So a lot of the initiatives that Turkish tourism put in place very quickly, I think are paying dividends going forward. So you've talked about the air connectivity being very, very good. What other challenges or successes do you see coming forward when we're talking about tourism across Turkey?
I believe that, the tourism is a key element for Turkey, and we have with our tourism minister, who comes from the sector,
He does.
a golden opportunity to overcome crisis, because in the last 2 years, where we were starting the early booking period, one day we woke up, nobody was expecting this, with a war, just as a neighbor, and Russia and Ukraine and CIS was and still our biggest source market. So this is one of the challenges we have to manage.
One in 3, I believe. The first and the third biggest source market were those 2 countries. Obviously, Germany second.
Yes, Germany is second, and now UK is making a huge growth and being now the 3rd largest destination, followed by Poland, also very surprisingly. So if we will have no, and this year, as you know, we had the tragedy of the earthquake, which was again in the beginning of the early booking period, right in the middle. So if we will overcome next year's January to March early booking period, which is at least on FDI points of view 26% higher than the year before. So this is a positive trend that the early trading will get more in place. And we are very, very optimistic regarding 2024 figures. And when I see our hotel partners who use this area in getting their hotels to up-to-date, refurbished, new renovation. So I think Turkey has all the possibilities, be it on the safe tourism side,
Yes.
be it on the sustainability programs, what we are doing. The travel life is one of the areas where the tourism minister have a huge focus on. And again, as FDI, we are serving more than 7 million tourists pre-COVID, where 2 million of them is just Turkey. So Turkey will remain for us the key destination. And I believe with the excellent hotel levels what we have,
Yep.
compared to other Mediterranean tourism area, where the renovation was maybe not so done as in Turkey, and specifically there's also the bus transportation, because we have the opportunities that most of the buses are produced in Turkey, be it of Mercedes and MAN. So, I mean, we as FDI Group are expecting in summer 24 and summer 25 good growth from our source markets.
No, fantastic. And we've got about 17 minutes to go. If anyone in the audience has questions you'd like to ask, I know we're probably not on script there, but please put your hand up, ask the question. Always keen to hear your thoughts as well, and hopefully challenge us in some way. Let's have a look. But no, very good. I totally agree. Around the hotel sustainability, I know Elif just presented the partnership that TGA have with GSTC.
May I ask you a question?
Yes, oh, okay, here we go.
So, I mean, you are sitting on all the sources and all the figures. So your records and your data is giving you a better hint, for example, for the future. So if you will say for summer 24 expectation, where would you see the biggest increase in regards to source markets? And how do you see, or how do you evaluate, for example, a customer who travels 10 times a year to Spain and who decided now maybe to try at least out of 10, maybe 2 times to come to Turkey? So where do you see the biggest movement in 2024 in regards to source market? And are you also evaluating or making the statistic of the shift of destination within your organization?
Okay, those are some challenging questions. I like it. First up, let me share in terms of how we do our travel and tourism numbers. So it's very much top down. And when we're talking about source markets, I'll talk very generally around regions. One of our members who is Travelzoo, so they did a presentation earlier this week, you probably know Travelzoo, and they found, this is for a British consumer, that travel and tourism is intrinsically linked to their budgeting every single month. So unlike, say, going out to different events and whatnot, they've got their mortgage or their rent, their food, they've got travel. So that was one of their top things that they are making sure to maintain, despite the cost of living very, very high in London and in the UK. It's very important for them. Also, what it showcased this week was the fact that folks are looking to go different places. So for that consumer that you're highlighting that has gone to Spain 10 times in a row, bang, 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 they're looking to probably have a similar experience, but seeing where else they can go. They're also looking to take their friends and family with them, to go to places that have been recommended to them to try it out. That links into their longer term travel as well, in terms of not going for 9 days, but 13, 14. When it comes to source markets, watch out for Asia Pacific. So it wasn't until this year that Asia Pacific actually opened up. And with China previously being responsible for 15 of every $100, watch that bounce back. Our present CEO was just in China last week, and domestic tourism there, especially this week because it's Golden Week, is off the rails, off the records. Everything is massive. Okay, so watch, I think, China going back to the growth they had before, coming back to the countries they want to explore because they have been locked down. Same with folks across Asia, Japan, Thailand, Vietnam. I think that's going to be a huge source market. And India, don't write them off. I mentioned 2032, they're going to be the 6th largest outbound market. They need to start somewhere. So I think that is where you're going to have to diversify and look for different incoming, because they're really going to grow there. Same with their air connectivity. I think that's going to grow across that part of the world. You've had Australia, New Zealand. Yes, I'm biased with New Zealand, but they were also locked down. You couldn't leave the country. I had to pay $2,000 to stay in a hotel, which I didn't want to, because they had quarantine. They are now stretching out their wings and seeing the rest of the world. You're going to have North America very high up there. Their numbers, especially to Europe, are back to 2019 numbers, if not more. I'm sure you've experienced that as well.
Yes.
The North Americans are so keen to travel, probably more than ever before. So watch that as a space. And of course, the classic markets in Europe, with Germany, UK, they will also be very, very strong, because that is almost within the DNA now of where you're going to next. That's a common question at the pub. Whenever we're meeting out with friends, where are you going next? Have you tried this place? So I think a lot of the social media marketing is really going to tap into that around the socials, but also making sure that your current customers provide that first-hand experience to their friends and their family. That, I think, is how you're going to get a snowball effect of increase in your visitation.
Where do you spend your holiday in summer 23, and where you are planning to spend next year?
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's been a unique year this year. So I'm an avid marathon runner. So there's 6 major marathons in the world, which I ticked off this year. The final one was in Tokyo.
Wow.
So that was a trip that I had to do, because once you get into these events, you need to run them. So Japan this year was certainly up there. We also went to Greece for a week with friends and family, well, friends. But that was not until the back end of June. So between then, and India. Have you ever been to an Indian wedding?
No.
That is something to behold. So for next year, we don't know. We're open to seeing where to go. Obviously, Turkey is saying come to Turkey. But we're sort of deciding, it'll probably be sun and beach with the opportunity to go hike a mountain or do some outdoors mountain biking is where we're going to look for us.
I mean, Indian weddings are getting more and more popular, specifically in some of the hotel chains, big hotel chains, for example, like Nirvana and Crystal Group or be Titanic groups. I mean, I have witnesses just not as a participant, but I mean, it's a huge opportunity, I believe. And our CEO, who spent a lot of time in India as well, see this as an emerging market. So as a destination as well as a source market. So therefore, definitely, this source markets needs to be more penetrated from our end, and we will do so for the coming year. So thanks for sharing your holiday plans.
Well, the year before was Egypt and Jordan, but I didn't want to mention that one.
So summer 24, it must be Turkey in between.
Maybe, we'll see. We'll ask the boss at home, see what she has to say. But just looping back to what you mentioned earlier around consumers are willing to pay more, and they are having to pay more because of cost of living. We see within the numbers and the trends that travelers are not being off-put by the price. As long as the experience and the quality is at that level that they expect, they're willing to pay for it. Have you seen that as well coming through?
I mean, the people who can still afford, because we have to underline that certain percent of the customer, they are not able to afford any more holidays.
I agree.
So for example, in Germany, source market, where we have more than 52 million tourists traveling each year, 19% of them, they are not able to afford it anymore. Because just the package price themselves increased, for example, from Turkey, 750 euro to 850 euro. But the ones who are able to afford this holiday, so customers' satisfaction is key for them. So they like to stay in a better accommodation type.
Yep.
Accordingly, most of the hotels has updated their accommodation types accordingly. They like to have more individual services, be it on the transfer, be it on the excursion side. So we can see that the customer are percentage-wise, they are separating more amount of money to travel and to have this guest satisfaction.
And so how are you with that, pricing your tours or your packages for 24 or 25, mindful that inflation's happening, cost of everything is going up, so that you maintain your margin? How are you pricing that?
So what we are trying to do, Andrew, is we are trying to bring more differentiated product into the market, because one of the big issues what we have is, and specifically in Germany or also in France. I mean, in Germany with Bistro, this information portal Bistro, and France with Orchestra, for example, everything is comparable. So what our tour operator is asking us, please bring us products which is less comparable. So accordingly, we are combining, for example, more and more pre-booked services, what usually are purchased in the past in the destination, which again makes the overall package less comparable in this information portals. Sure, the hyperinflation in Turkey is a key issue. I mean, if you look year on year, I think there is no one destination where the fuel has been increased for the transportation buses up to 300%. Well, even in the last couple of 4 months, we have increased 100% fuel rate. Before 20 Turkish lira, now it's about 40. Again, we do not know how next year's energy sector will affect our sector.
No.
Because we see in 2024 that most of the hedged fuel between $600 and $800 per gallon was a wrong matchup. So, and we see that at the moment, for example, in Antalya, you cannot find a fuel less than 950 per ton, or in Frankfurt for 880, or in Manchester for 700 pounds. So I think there are some costs which we can foresee. And again, this year we had a major issue with the political stability, because we had very important elections this year. Next year we will have another election, the municipality. So once we have overcome this election, and when we have more control on our cost, I believe, and with more non-comparable products and more differentiated products. So this is where we are trying, let me say, day and night with the entire team, and I'm very happy to have such a strong team in Turkey, because without them I would be not able in overcoming all this. So I'm a very lucky person to have such a strong team behind me.
And that rolls back to what we talked about earlier around the staff shortages, where you've got the talent there, you need to keep onto them as much as you can. So what I'm picking up there is you're anticipating the volatility of certain markets to hopefully dampen down, so that when you're setting prices going forward, you can set them with certainty. Is that what you're sort of...
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, this is where I try to focus that there are some areas where we can foresee possible increases, and we can take major actions. For example, we are discussing with fuel companies, not just Turkey anymore. We are discussing with a BP, with Shell, with a Total, for example, a global deal.
Yep.
Because anyhow, the consumption, for example, in Turkey is close to 3.5 million liters of tons, what we are using for all our transportation, because we have more than 500 vehicles each day on road. But the global deal of the meeting point is that we have more than 5,000 vehicles, and they are also consumption. So certain areas we are having a global approach, let me say like this, where we are trying to benefit from our global purchasing power.
Yep.
But there are some areas where we have no foreseen, and this is where the risk sits all the time on our side, because the tour operator is the one who commits to the aviation. The tour operator is the one who commits to the hotels, and the tour operator is the one who commits to his own DMCs and to his own employees. And it's really not an easy task for tour operators in the next upcoming years, because
changes
it's
so
very
much.
hard to see it forward.
You're also the key with the travel advisors as well, because you're the ones who are providing the product to the advisors to go and sell. Just around the fuel issue, and I know we've only got a couple of minutes to go, the sustainable aviation fuel is one that, for our present CEO, one of the top priorities, along with sustainability in general, and that is because the keystone to travel and tourism are the airlines. We can't get abroad easily without the planes. Briefly, are you doing anything in SAF, Sustainable Aviation Fuel SAF, or what are your initiatives in sustainability that you'd like to share?
I mean, in regards to aviation, I mean, we are trying to be as much as possible less committed and using the purchasing power, making a group volume deals with certain airline categories, and we are, as I mentioned, one of the leading tour operator in Europe in this respect. And we try, and we see, especially from the new generation, that sustainability is a very key element.
Yes.
So therefore, be it our excursion, be it our office maintenance, be it our activities, what we are doing, it's all about having this criteria in each our effect. So not easy to match everything which is required, let me say, because X amount of customer is using certain energy and the consumption. But I mean, more friendly, nature friendly, and more customer focused. These are the motto of Meeting Point and FDI Group overall, Andrew.
No, for sure. And I think what we are looking to do at the World Travel and Tourism Council on behalf of the private sector, not just aviation, but tour operators, DMCs, is highlight the fact that more needs to be done from the public sector to incentivize SAF, to incentivize sustainability going forward. Would you like to leave? We've got about a minute to go. Any last comments for the audience here?
No, I think we can have, if there was any questions, or whatsoever. So just a couple of 1 minute to go. So if there would be...
Whilst I'm thinking of a question, maybe we'll get... Oh, we've got one, yes. You're going to use a big voice. Yeah, do you want to come up and ask? It's quite hard to hear you back there. Depends how loud you shout. Oh, we can get these ones.
Thanks so much. I get excited now. Thank you. Okay, maybe it's out of the topic, but
Ses.
thank you. Yeah, it's exciting here. So we are the company that provides healthcare services in Turkey.
Yep.
I'm just wondering, you've been talking about the aviation and tour operations, but I'm really curious about how you think, what kind of opinions you have for Turkey being a healthcare destination, and in terms of the cost or, you know, tour operations and other topics.
Yeah, so in terms of wellness tourism, which is how we like to phrase it, that is one of the top priorities, and I've probably said a lot of things are top priorities in this last 45 minutes, of the traveller coming out of COVID. They want to be nurtured, they want to look after themselves, and so I think the market that you have here in Turkey is world leading, and keep marketing it that way. The demand is there for sure, so there's not much I can say besides what you're doing is working, and I think you differentiate yourselves from other parts of the world that are trying to catch up with you in terms of wellness, yeah.
I mean, niche segments are all the time, I think, quite interesting, be it the health tourism, be it the wellness tourism, be it, I mean, if you go to Istanbul airport, you will see half of the people rather has a hair operation or nose operation. So, I mean, and this is now beyond Istanbul. I mean, we can see also a lot of dentist tourism. We can see hospitals who specialize now on health tourism, because the fares, what you have to pay here is twice less than this. Again, for example, I just had a meeting yesterday with a tour operator in France who books wellness tourism only, and I was surprised that he's booking more than 100,000 customers a year.
Wow.
I mean, specifically just for wellness and treatment. So I believe we need to be more focused on niche areas, not just the classic tour operator side. We have to become more professional in this area. We have to have an association who covers all our needs and the requirements, but I believe there is a lot of things to do, not just on health, also on sports field, what Turkey can offer, and hopefully this will be realized also with the next.
Thanks so much.
No worries. No worries at all. And I guess just for a final comment, this year, tourism in Turkey is meant to be worth over $100 billion.
Yes.
2033, $130 billion for the local economy, 3.4 million people. So the rate of growth each year is going to keep up with the total economic growth. I think the holistic investment in infrastructure and partnerships that the Turkish public and private sectors create will help nurture and potentially smash that out the park, over 130, over 3.4. That's the comments I have from WTDC, is continue those holistic investments in infrastructure, continue the partnerships to continue your growth going forward. Would you like to leave any lasting comments?
I mean, agree with you with the figures what you have shared. I mean, a huge possibility in regards to tourism, with the infrastructure, with the aviation, as you have said, with a huge hotel. I mean, more than 1 million beds
Yep.
we can offer in Turkey in each segment. I think the future of the tourism is important and will be even more important for Turkey coming years.
No, exactly. It's going to get up to 12% of the economy. Thank you very much. Okay, cheers.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Very nice
Cheers.
meeting you.
You too.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank
Thank you
you.
very
Çok
much.
teşekkür ediyoruz.
Sağ